Welcome back to the Heroes of the Storm North American Regionals. This is day 2. Yesterday was awesome. If you weren't here, we missed you a ton, but don't worry, we'll get you up to speed in just a moment. I'm Anna Prosser-Robinson. I'm going to be your host for all of the festivities, and today we have lots and lots of matches as we move forward into crowning our North American champions. Now, speaking of getting you up to speed, here is a recap of everything that happened yesterday.
And now we have a very low, very vulnerable Tassadar, and it's a 3, 4 for 1 for Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm wins on game number 3. Needs a Divine Shield to stay alive, but a massive maw. They're getting in position, but it doesn't even matter. Shredding through the health bars. Ancestral Heal gonna top off 1, but Trees cannot stay alive. No, barely sustaining through. 3 for 1 for Neventic.
Here goes Psalm with the Apocalypse, and that's what I'm talking about. He overpowers Michael Udo with the Mighty Gust. Malfurion is gonna go down, but so does Diablo.
He gets hit by the platform, but Tassadar goes on, and a big mosh pit catching 2 more members, and 4 for 1 exchange in favor of Panda Global. Will Panda Global be the first team eliminated? But at the same time, Catapulter sees you the core of King of Blades Alpha. It's a base range, and that's it. King of Blades Alpha upsets Panda Global. Keep us alive. Ancestral connects at the last second, and Urho's the first to fall in the fight, and that is a 3 for nothing exchange. GG. Neventic is the first team to make it to the round of 4.
Not only that, they have healing.
Oh my goodness. Cloudy is just absolutely obliterated there. And popping that molten block, and Glaura gets fall. 3, 4 heroes down on the side of Cognitive, and the throw pit is real. Polly is huge on Dump Train, but not enough as Dump Train just barely sneaks on out of there. And the Gust into the top corner. If we can see they're tearing through them, but a big Lunar Flare does connect on 2 targets. And the max range hook, that's good night for Tyrande. Force Ball is nice, and Kashi will be the first one to go down, after Thrall. So 2 down.
And that's going to be it. Cloud9's going to walk away 2-0 here over Team Nom.
He's doing as much damage to Glaura as he can, but really not doing anything. Great mosh pit there. Good Ancestral follow-up as well. Kachi's going to go down. Oh, why did they let him live? They're starting to underestimate their opponents here. Nice kill from Nom, and they're trying to bring this back here. Will Cattle go down as well? Yes, they do. Great kills coming out from Nom. I think it's going to be GG. Cognitive Gaming moves on to the next round of the group stage.
The teams are fresh and ready to go this morning, so let's take a look at the bracket and the schedule for this morning. We are going to start with Group B. Finishing that up, we're going to have the winner bracket match that's going to be Team Blaze versus Cloud9. That promises to be a good one. Then we'll go back to Group A, and we'll finish that up with King of Blades, Alpha, and Tempo Storm. I can't wait to watch both of these matches. I know you can't either. We have some great casters here on the team. They'll be with us in just a moment, but first, it's time to bring out the teams. Remember, you can vote for your favorite team to let us know who you think is going to win by using the hashtag HGC. Also, you can just let us know what you think of the tournament, send us pictures of how you're watching, or give me some questions you'd like to ask the players. I'm always happy to see those. Now, without further ado, it's time to bring out our first team. You know them very well. They're the defending world champions, Cloud9.
iDream, K1 Pro, Arthalon, King Caffeine, and Dunk Train. You know them, you'll love them. They are back, and Dread, they looked so good in day 1.
They definitely did. They came in and they pretty much showed why they were one of the more dominant teams, like obviously in the world last year, and then even coming into this year. Even with the roster swaps, moving out Fan and Arthalon, they established dominance and put a very convincing 2-0 on up against Team Nom there. The record's still 10-1 with Cursed Hollow being the most picked map. Interesting there. But definitely a really great team, Jake.
Now they're here because of what has been called an upset, but they're here to prove why they deserve the spot. Team Blaze.
With a fiery performance in day 1, Blaze makes it here to this match, and they have a lot to prove. This is the advancement match to go into playoffs. But with Cloud9 as their opponent, can they do it?
I mean, the real question is, are they going to bring out the thick cheese, as they put it yesterday there? The cheesy burritos. They established dominance with the Cho'Gall yesterday, something that we know that they kind of are prone to be able to pick up, but are they going to be bringing out more uncommon strategies here against a powerhouse that is known as Cloud9? 23-5 here. Artanis being the most picked, showing their playstyle being very unique. It's going to be really interesting to see if they're able to pull it out here, Jake.
You know, I don't think it's ever too early for a very cheesy burrito. What do you think, Dredd and Jake? Good morning, by the way. Good morning to you.
Cheesy burrito sounds excellent on a morning like today. I would go all in on that.
Absolutely. I want all kinds of cheese. The spicy cheese specifically, I think it's something that they're pretty good at whipping out.
All right, well, you know, one thing we actually didn't point out today, and it's actually one of the bigger feats of Blaze, is they're playing with a sub. And, you know, we neglected to match this or mention that yesterday. Jason wasn't able to make it. He got ill right before the event, and DXN has been subbing in. So the fact that they're here in the winner's match versus Cloud9 is so impressive.
I mean, it's not even the fact that they walked away with a win, right, with the sub. They actually pulled what is considered to be an upset here with that sub. So that it shows just like kind of the momentum swing that they're going to have coming into this matchup right now. Just being able to take on the defending world champions that was Cloud9. So I really think that they might have that momentum to come in here, lay down the choke call, hopefully in upheaval, and just establish dominance, come out.
So the first map is Battlefield of Eternity, and actually, you know, without Jason normally is a bit of their kind of weird pick. He plays a lot of Abathur, a lot of those unique heroes. I'm really curious if they're still going to be able to lend to that style, because that's a map where we do see a fair bit of Abathur play.
Yeah, no, Abathur is something that we want to be looking out for, especially against Cloud9. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Cloud9 struggles against those type of heroes where it's like the Vikings or the Abathur. They don't deal with that kind of splish push oriented compositions nearly as well as some of the other teams. And so with your Blaze, that would definitely be one of my go-to strategies here going against their the powerhouse roster that they have.
All right, so we've talked a good bit about Blaze, but Cloud9, obviously a household name at this point in pretty much all esports.
Yeah.
And now that they have Arthalon, obviously a handsome player, your former teammate here joining the squad, stylistically they're pretty much the same, but let's just look back to BlizzCon. They busted out the unkillable composition versus MVP Black, where they run Murky and Tassadar and a lot of these heroes that just are very hard to eliminate for a long term. You think they still have pocket strats that they're holding for this event?
I do think there's going to be some that they're looking towards. I don't think they're going to be as drastic as the Undying comp was, but I do think they're going to have a little bit of a pick here and there that it's one kind of their go-to. I also think talent picks are going to be something that they have a little bit of what they think. They don't expect their opponents to kind of pull out. I know specifically that I think there's going to be something maybe a little bit from K1. I don't know if it's going to be now or later in the tournament. He's been hyping up that he's got something in store for us. So I definitely think they've got something. The question is, what do they have?
K1 is hyping. I mean, I just think Li Ming immediately, but I'm not sure.
I think it could be Li Ming. I think it could be even more drastic than that. Honestly, I've never had K1 look at me and go, Dredd, it's about to get real. Like, if that's the case, I think it's going to be, Li Ming is just like the baseline. I feel like it's going to be like, I don't know. I have a couple ideas, but I don't feel comfortable throwing them out this early in the tournament.
Oh man, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about making those bold predictions. That's the dream. Like, where's my Bloodlust? Where's my Hinterlands Blast?
If I think the situation to where it may possibly arise, my speculation on what it is, I will throw it out in the game. But until then, I'm going to keep it in the story, you know?
I respect that.
Yeah.
Well, they are all getting ready for the first game. Now, Battlefield of Eternity, definitely one of the larger battlegrounds in terms of just height, but it's only a 2-lane map, so that changes the dynamic quite a bit. We are now starting with the first ban on the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, and so Cloud9 still kind of pulling out that situation where they want to be hiding as many strategies as they can, as long as they possibly can. But Team Blaze, I think, is going to be one of those first situations. I don't think game number 1, we're going to see them pulling out anything that's going to be uncommon, but I think game number 2, if Blaze is able to get one, you're going to see Cloud9 kind of with their backs against the wall, pulling out a lot of what they're really try-hard picks, if you will. They definitely want to try and stall as long as they can on a revealing strategy.
Well, with Zagara being banned, it's unlikely Blaze will let Rhaegar get through for Cloud9, but Zeratul has also shown incredible power in this tournament. So this is a tough call for Blaze.
I think not only that, we saw yesterday, we saw iDream playing the Zeratul, but then also we saw Cognitive very heavily prioritizing Zeratul when it comes to this team. So Team Blaze really kind of clenching onto. They banned the Jaina, first pick Zeratul right at the gates for Cloud9. No hesitation. They know that everybody knows that Team Blaze is going to be really needing it or really struggling against that Zeratul. Every team has prioritized that above all else here. So really good job, Cloud9, doing the research here.
Okay. Team Blaze, we've seen them do crazy things with Cho'Gall, and Rhaegar is a big enabler for that style of play.
Yes.
But, unfortunately, unless they lock in Cho'Gall first, they can't get Cho'Gall in the next phase before we go into the bans. So it's actually kind of a hard situation where Cloud9 could just save that ban for the second ban.
Yeah, it comes down to really how they feel that his comfortability on the map and just how high they prioritize it. Again, they prioritize Cho'Gall a little bit differently than some of the other teams, but they are going to say, no, we still need the Rhaegar. I personally like that pick. Yep. I feel like it's too bold no matter how comfortable the Cho'Gall is. It's just a little bit too much there. But what are they going to pair this with? Obviously, melees are pretty good synergy with Rhaegar for the most part. A lot of teams going with kind of Thrall in that situation when Zag is banned, largely for the isolation in the solo lane. On this map, a 1-4 is the standard strat, so it does seem normal. But honestly, like I said, they can go anywhere. Rhaegar's too diverse.
We had that one play yesterday where the Sundering came through at the last moment, hitting multiple targets, enabling that Ancestral to connect at the last moment there. So
I mean, we also saw Blaze running Illidan, and this is an Illidan map. Not necessarily one of his strongest maps, but it is a map where we were talking about that distance to safety is a far longer than on some of the other maps. So it's really going to be nice to see they might be able to do that because that's that Rhaegar, the enabler. I feel like he's kind of the enabler for a lot of different heroes in this current meta. So it's going to be interesting. There are a lot of places to go. I think their next pick is going to be pretty telling in what they're looking to do, which is going to be hard because they haven't. See, the Tassadar pick is awesome, but now that is signs of an Illidan ban. So now they're going to be in a situation where Cloud9, do they want to ban the Cho? Do they want to ban the Illidan? Or are they going to bust out kind of like a Sonya? Sonya works really well with that. They have essentially a comp that's like blank, and it's like, we can go anywhere. What do you think we're going to do? And they're going to answer somewhere else. So Blaze with a really bold move so far in this draft.
Okay, well, Cloud9, they're going to be looking for another damage dealer, that's for sure. They could prioritize something like Li Ming. We've seen a good bit of play by K1 Pro on that hero so far this weekend. But with Zeratul, they might. Do you think it's worth locking in a warrior before?
I think Falset. I think they like the Zeratul Falset pairing, not only with the Zagara ban. I think it's a go too. Sonya got to be picked up, something that we've only seen Naventic and Cloud9 both playing. I have harped on this over and over again how much I think she's a very, very powerful hero. And so I really like the prioritization on her coming out from Cloud9. That's a double melee composition, not necessarily the most common strategy, I guess. It's not that it's not a good strategy, it's just not necessarily very straightforward. And they go with the Li Ming, so it looks like they're going to pull away from that fall stat. Interesting.
Just their single target damage on those Immortals is quite powerful with Li Ming and Sonya. They can just burst through that very quickly. But Team Blaze now has to think about their next ban. So looking at what they have here, they're not going to be as worried about a fourth assassin, as Sonya is very unlikely going to be a solo warrior. They could try to lock out either ETC or Muradin. And knowing that King Caffeine doesn't like to play Johanna very much, they could try to force him into that if they don't go for Cho'Gall.
Yeah, and that would be something where it'd be interesting to see if Cloud9 would be willing to take a comfort pick, kind of like the Leoric in a solo tank situation. I know Sonya fills the warrior role, ladies and gentlemen, but she is very much not a thorough tank. She is kind of that Bruiser-esque style. Yeah. So Leoric would be a solo tank in that type of situation. And it's usually, it's not that you can't do it, but yeah, the isolation is brilliant. And usually we've seen this, we've actually seen 4 games yesterday with this exact situation happen. The second pick banned out the ETC and then prioritize the tank. Yep. Tempo Storm clutched on that a lot with that Johanna prioritization. They just, it's something that a lot of teams are looking to do here.
All right, well, Cloud9 might be worried about just trying to remove some damage. Is Cho'Gall still a threat? This could be a mind game out of Blaze to say we're removing ETC to try to pick up Muradin, then they snipe up Cho'Gall.
It's an option. I don't know how much I love it as an option. I feel like if Cho'Gall is kind of the only threat and they go this mass sustain, it might work out. Again, they've loved the hero and they play him very well. But it's just they ban him out. Okay, because I just don't know if you leave Cho'Gall to be the only threat in your team, it's pretty easy to deal with him. But if you have multiple threats, much like Illidan, then it's very hard to deal with that hero. So Illidan is my kind of look out for here, or another melee of type. If they do pick Thrall, I wouldn't expect to see it, but it's going to be interesting. Blaze has a lot of routes.
I'm feeling the Illidan, especially when you consider not only do they have that big Ancestral heal that pairs well with him, wow, they're saving it for last. But with Gust and Force Wall and the amount of control, and then, of course, Muradin as that frontline buddy, also denying Cloud9 Reverberation.
No, yeah. So it's denying the hard CC. Muradin is a soft counter, or kind of debatably a hard counter to Illidan, any form of hard CC like that. So Zeratul is going to be doing really well against that. Li Ming struggles a little bit there. Sonya eats Illidan alive, though. So this is why I'm a little bit worried if they do end up blocking it in. Sonya, you're like, well, Sonya has an absurd amount of damage. Where does it come from? A little bit of auto-attacking, yeah, but a lot of it's that seismic slam, right? And then later half the game, he just ruins her Illidan, or she does, excuse me. So it's going to be interesting. C9 now locking in, going to be moving towards towards the support here, and they're going to be going with the tank.
So for support, you think Uther, just because of how strong Uther is versus Illidan, and versatile with the Sonya for the Divine Shield?
Yeah, that or Brightwing, to pairing with the Zeratul and the counter to the Illidan, which
That's
I think
true.
they're expecting at this
Peekaboo
point.
is so strong on this map.
Absolutely, and the Global is just going to be dominant in any situation. I wouldn't be surprised, but they go with the Uther instead, and they go no tank. They're going with the, okay.
Wow.
So I think that's an expectation for the Illidan in some way. I feel like this has to be kind of a response of expecting something out of Blaze here. So it's going to be a double melee, or triple melee for that matter, Void Prison. It's really threatening because the Zeratul, I think they can get away with this kind of play. It's just if the team fights last a little bit too long here, I'm going to be very afraid on the side of Cloud9's composition. Void Prison is going to be absolutely crucial to their success.
Okay, well, Blaze is really giving it a lot of thought. Do they want to run with that Illidan, or maybe pick up one of those ranged assassins? Of course, Jaina has been banned. Li Ming is already taken on the side of Cloud9. Kael'thas doesn't make a whole lot of sense in this scenario, as in a lot of ways, his current kit is being like a chain bomb hero, right? He's all about just the power of that chain bomb, and they lock in a noob Iraq for the first time this weekend. He will be played here.
If they were looking to go to Illidan at any point, I like this pick better. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just such an uncommon pick. I'm taking a minute to try and appreciate what I think the decision making is here. So, like, specifically when it comes to a noob, in my head, the first thing I'm thinking of is with the Void Prison and the all melee DPS composition, they struggle to win long team fights, right? They have a burst-oriented composition. As long as they don't get that, they don't lose. A noob Barak provides harder to kill targets, along with the Tassadar, Rhaegar. Falstad's essentially one of the only prime targets, and then a web wrap will stop the momentum of the team fight. I don't think you're going to see a Locust Swarm here. I do think it'll be a web wrap. Well, yeah, and I think it'll be used to stop the momentum of C9 because the fights last a long time. They don't have very good sustained DPS.
Also, there's a bit of synergy if you time it right with the Gust and Cocoon, because that Cocoon target will stay still, so they can really try to... I mean, we've seen that done in the past with Lamb to the Slaughter on Butcher, where you just kind of use that. So it's a similar effect in some scenarios, but it's hard to time because only the enemy team can blow up the Cocoon.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that is part of their strategy. Europe specifically loves that. Again, like a little bit of taste there, but we're going to see, here we go, game number 1 between Cloud9 and Team Blaze. Dunk Train will be playing the Uther. Arthlon will be playing Sonya. iDream is going to be on the Zeratul. K1 Pro will be on that Li Ming, and King Caffeine is going to be on the Thrall.
And their opponents, Team Blaze, with Claudia is going to be playing Anubarak, Huge on Rhaegar, Rafflecopter playing Falstad, Battery on Murden, and DXN will be on the Tassadar. Guys, we are hopping right on in to game number 1 on Battlefield of Eternity, and this is the final game of Group B.
I absolutely think sustained team fights here is the #1 thing that Team Blaze needs to have success in this game. With running, Zeratul in Void Prison, the effectiveness of Void Prison and Divine Shield for this game and how well it's going to be used along with the potential web wrap there, I think is crucial. Blaze needs patience. And if they don't have that patience, I fear that they're going to have a hard time. And also keep in mind, with this heavy of a DPS composition on Battlefield of Eternity, the Immortals almost 100% of the time are going to be falling in favor of Cloud9 just because they have that raw damage output, right? And so that's something to consider if they go blow for blow on the Immortals.
Okay, well, we do see right now everyone's just kind of posturing around. In terms of talents, anything out of the ordinary. It's a standard early game laning Thrall, going to dominate that laning phase as the strongest laner against him could possibly be maybe a noob? Are they going to put a noob as the solo lane?
Yeah, they're going to, I don't know. They're in a rough situation here. I don't think that running the lane situation that they're doing, Murden by himself, I prefer having a noob alone, but they are going to run the 1-4 in this type of situation where they send Murden to be the solo. He does struggle against the Thrall, but the Beetles usually are pretty good pushing power. He just doesn't have the sustain, so they're going to keep Murden up there instead.
We'll see if that works out. I mean, it definitely seems like a bold decision.
Yeah, you were talking about level 1 talents. A little bit of a difference here that we see is out of Li Ming. Her level 1 is going to be Aether Walker, which is going to provide... usually it tells that it's going to be a teleport build. It's not an absolute must, but...
No, not by any means. But still, gives you a little bit more additional mobility. And of course, the mana cost has been removed when you're out of combat. Well, we do see it's pretty just even in the bottom lane. In the top lane, we have a rotation coming up from Arthlon, who decides to end up backing off. If Murden had stepped forward, they could look for a kill, but of course, Dwarf Talks makes him a very hard hero to pick off. So although he might lose this lane slowly to Thrall, he's a very hard target to gank.
Yeah, he's kind of like that Brightwing and Task we were talking about. Like, he doesn't really... get, like, he doesn't lose a lane that hard, but he doesn't win it by any means, right? Especially with his passive being able to heal him up. But the rotations from Cloud9 being on the Immortal much earlier than their opponents, this is absolutely crucial to their success in this game. Watch how fast they're going to be able to burn this down.
Yeah, you see Sonya immediately on there, Zeratul as well, and just the big burst already down through a quarter of its hit points. And it's quite far behind if you look at the health bars on the right side of the map. So a great start here from Cloud9 as we do see Blaze trying to defend, but can they get iDream? The heals coming at the last moment from Dunk Train, but we do have Muradin falling on the right side. Disastrous situation. Falstead falls as well. Arth in the front line just doing so much damage in the Whirlwind, keeping him alive, and they managed to pick off a 3 for nothing. Only 2 minutes into this game.
Yeah, that's honestly a worst-case scenario, in my opinion, when it comes to the composition on the side of Blaze. Largely because they decided to get on a defense situation where, let's be honest here, against a no-tank composition, you're going to really struggle at winning that kind of brawl. Not only that, the early game is going to be a pretty big disadvantage with the double tank unless you, like, focus it. Honestly, I feel like if they just go blow for blow on the Immortals, offense on this map is your best defense, right? They are now sitting in a situation where these shields are going to be 90% on the Immortal. If they just went offensive both sides, at least it would have been a 10% shield and not be that effective. Yes, you are going to lose, but accept it. You don't lose that much if the shields are very, very low. At most, maybe a front wall.
Right, so that's, I mean, this is definitely a dicey situation. Usually this, like you said, this Immortal usually doesn't do all that much, but suddenly Cloud9 in a dominant spot, even chasing in, came and prove the aggressive teleport, looking for that angle. Misses the magic missiles, but Battery still taking so much damage for this scenario, and they can look to pressure these bottom wall.
Yeah, and they're going to get a little bit of harass here. With the shields being that healthy on the first Immortal phase, it's actually more beneficial to split push with it. This is really good decision-making from Cloud9. Normally, you want to run a 4-man and a 1-man splitting again in this type of situation, but you want to push with the Immortal. But in this case, Cloud9 goes bottom half the map because they understand the Immortal's so healthy, it'll get the front wall for free, and they don't have the ability to get the force. So they say, okay, guess what? We'll just take the front wall on bottom too, maximizing their XP advantage as best as they possibly can here, Jake.
Yeah, getting this tower, the last tower up top is just about down as well, so that's a huge experience lead, and they're going to have 7 way before their opponents, but with this rotation from Nubrak in the front line, the body blocks are there. iDream still has Blink ready, and they're even focusing down Battery very quickly. The chain heal topping him off, but Dunk Train now in a bit of a weird spot. Look how aggro iDream is chasing after Battery. The Side Storm just barely not enough for the kill. Many close calls in that situation, but Arthalon with the rotation gets Rafflecopter. Claudia's going to have to burr charge on out of this if he wants to live, and he will hold it. No, he doesn't have it.
I don't know. He just barely survived. I didn't actually get to look at the cooldowns either in that type of situation, but he is able to walk away that situation and not die. So really well done on his part. A lot of that came down to the focus fire. If you notice, Falstad, when rotating the bottom half of the map, completely committed to killing Dunk Train, while the rest of his team was trying to peel off that Zeratul, right? And notice how both Dunk Train and iDream on the Zeratul walked away with only 10% of their health. By that time, Arthalon made the rotation and was able to clean up and get a couple of kills. So just a little bit of split focus fire on the side of Blaze. It's going to be crucial that they have that proper focus fire because, again, the raw damage output and dealing with the Void Prison on the side of Cloud9, if you do not act perfectly with who your focus fire is on, you're going to have a really rough time.
Okay, getting an update on the talents. Level 7 is here. Double follow through. We are seeing the teleport build with the damage at level 7. And beyond that, pretty darn standard. Just a lot of burst here on this team, especially if Li Ming's going to opt to go for this teleport style.
Absolutely, and now the Immortal is going to be spawning the rotations. We do see both the teams have got the Shaman camp pushing into their team, or on their side, but now the rotation from C9 is a little bit more aggressive. Here we go. Blaze is actually cleaning up on the bottom half of the map, not waiting for the phase, instead completely giving up on the Immortal at this point. Now again with their DPS, playing a little bit passive. If they defend here, I'm very, very afraid for the future of this game. If they defend, they're essentially giving up. Okay, so they are going to be a little more offensive. Okay, this is very good on their part. They're actually going to go for the pick instead.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, C9 gets an entire full Immortal. This is going to be very hard to deal with. The spike to 10 is almost going to be reached here, Jake. The Immortal's got 75% shields. This is terrifying when dealing with the Zeratul.
If they almost picked off Zeratul in the bottom there, that would, if they got him, that might have been nice, right? But they actually threw their whole team instead of focusing on the objective. They didn't get the kill. This is actually the worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario. Not only is it like, not only because you didn't get the kill, but you're now in a situation where that spike to 10, right? Normally when you hit 10, Jake, you're like, you know what we want to do? We want to start a team fight, and that is absolutely the answer. But usually usually it's a little bit hard to dive and force that team fight. You know who's absurdly good at that? Zeratul. He just literally just goes, oh, you guys are together? I'm going to give my team a couple of seconds to group up here. Hold on a second. Oh, they're coming, and then just wombo out of it.
So this is the crazy thing when you run Sonya as your warrior, right? We look at her as more of an assassin, but they just have such an insane amount of damage output for this map in particular. The impact has been exponentially powerful. I mean, they powered through that top 4. They're working on the top wall. The 1300 experience from those towers. I mean, let's take a look at the top lane quickly because Cloud9 is just shredding through it. We are only 6 minutes into this game. They've lost their keep towers. That is insane.
Yeah, that was definitely a very late rotation on the side of Blaze. They were not really understanding that the contention of Zeratul on the bottom half of the map for the fort was nowhere near worth the keep front wall. As we were discussing a little bit yesterday, the keep front walls scale more than kind of the forts and everything else. So it's really the keep front walls are absolutely crucial. Also, now that dictates the direction that the Immortal is going to spawn 100% of the time for the side of Cloud9. So that's something they can abuse that information now. So look at this. Here's going to be the Void Force right here. This is going to be very scary.
Okay, VP only on the single target, but it is Rhaegar, so they can look to surround him. Heroics are still not here on the side of Blaze. So much damage coming out, but Yuge with the shield trying to sustain through this, but the Sundering denies him escape home, and Cloud9 with the pick off. And they can now look to take out even more keep towers, and they have a full 2-level lead.
I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but that was a winning situation on the side of Blaze.
Just because of your Heroics used?
Yeah, you use so many huge, powerful Heroics and only killed a Rhaegar while you're Falstead soaking the entire time. That's about as good as it gets for the situation you put yourself in. So it's not going to be the end of the world here. So they do, I mean, think about it. If that was a 4-man Void, think about how bad that could have been. Yeah. So definitely good for them. And Falstead's been soaking, trying to catch them up to 10 here. He's not going to be able to do too much. You see Cloud9 trying to make a little bit of a rotation to be over-aggressive. Now they finally see Blaze on the side of level 10. They aren't late enough in the game to be able to deal with this composition. Again, I think they need to play it a little bit more passively. Around the 14, 15, and especially 16 tier mark, I think they have a chance. But if they keep playing the way that they have, I don't know if they're going to be able to get to that point on even footing, Jake.
Okay, Hearthlon dodges just about everything they can throw at him. We have Dream going in hard on Battery. And this triple melee is looking so scary. Murden is on his last leg, needs a heal desperately. And Cloud9 going to look to put that pressure onto the bottom Immortal of Team Blaze.
Absolutely, and they get a little bit of a stun out there on iDream. His position is going to be crucial. Keep in mind, we have about 20 seconds for the major cooldowns that can be done on the side of Cloud9. Meanwhile, you see Blaze being on the defensive side. Again, they're sitting back and defending. They're going to allow Cloud9. There is no winning situation when you don't have the damage output to deal with this. Like, they have to force a fight and get a miraculous win here to even make this decision to be effective here.
Okay, Dunk Train a little over the wall, throwing that heal out onto Arthalon. The self-sustain of the Whirlwind is working out nicely, but Dunk Train is a bit secluded. A lot of focus going on to him. They're chasing him, but the VP on 4 members here. Cloud9 going to look to maximize this opportunity. A big globe going out. The Ancestral and Yuge is just a moment too late, and Battery gets hit by the Sundering as well as Rafflecopter on Falstad. So much power, so much damage with that Leeming, resetting all of her abilities, and she is continuing to shred through the side of Blaze.
Absolutely, and they're going to keep chasing, getting a couple kills. What this is going to lead to, now you see the prioritization on the side of Cloud9. Notice how they kind of aren't willing to risk kills that much for the Immortal, because the Punisher is just the Immortal is so powerful on this map. The phase is going to come out. They have roughly a 5-second to 10-second advantage here when it comes to the spawning. They're going to just try and burn it down as safely as possible. When they have this big of a lead, they don't need to make any major risks. Force a fight safely in 55 seconds when they have the Void Prison. I would be surprised unless there's a major pick they risk anything until that. And most likely, this is going to be a keep,
That's
honestly.
A keep. I mean, back-to-back 90% Immortal when we're not even 10 minutes into the game. That doesn't happen in Heroes of the Storm. They can push, and like you said, the keep tower's already down. Like, how do they not get a keep here?
Yeah, look at this actually decision-making here. You see Cloud9 getting into 32%, backing out, now taking the Night Camp. So they know they have such a big lead, their opponents just can't do anything. If they try to punish on the other side of the map, they're just going to say, guys, we're going to kill you with our talent tier advantage. Then they're going to wait it out and just get somebody to pretty much just look at it, and it will die out there. See Blaze making a very bold move here. Really risky.
Beautiful Ancestral, and the Dwarf Toss gets Battery out of that situation. A lot of abilities were thrown out. The Ancient Spirit does not connect due to Dimensional Shift on Tassadar. So a nice disengage, but can they do anything about this? We have that Fallen Shaman camp already halfway down the lane. I believe the Immortal's going to opt to go down the top. And right now, I mean, Blaze is just holding on, trying to get a pick.
They avoid, so they're going to force really hard here. Expect it.
Well, there's the Sunday. We see Raffle will end up going down very quickly. VP on 3 targets. The Bird Charge for Cloudy is not going to be enough, and this could be a full-on wipe. They're planning to burn down Rhaegar. They're going for Yuge. He goes down quickly. Battery over the wall, not far enough to get away, most likely. And DXN also going to go down. Is the wipe real? It is not successful, as Battery is a little bit too slippery.
Oh. Here you see Dunk Train's backing out, confirming the kill onto the Immortal now. Now, look at the bottom half of the map. They have the Shaman camp pushing there because Blaze decided to force that fight. Rather than trying to play a little bit passive, now the Immortal is going to be moving to the upper half of the map. This is going to be a single keep at least. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, they didn't gain that much with this Immortal timing without the Void Prison. Their team fight is a little bit less powerful, but the wave clear on the side of Blaze isn't that great either. So they are going to be able to get a keep here. I just don't think they're going to be able to look to get in the game without that Void Prison. If they do, it's going to be right around the time that that Void Prison is off cooldown.
Yeah, we're talking another 25 seconds before we have that Sundering and another 45 before VP, so it's unlikely, like you said, that they'll have that in this fight. But the shield's going down from Tessa to try to sustain this keep as long as humanly possible. So much shield remaining on the Immortal, and it is just chunking through the keep with Li Ming in the back.
Yeah, and just all they need to do is honestly play as passive as possible, get as much free poke as you can. Don't risk the fight here. I would definitely try and wait till the 13th tier. This is definitely not your keep. Play a little bit safe here, Blaze. Don't risk anything. Be willing to take the fight on the core, not in the keep. There you go. Really smart positioning here.
Wow.
And Sunder being used without the rest of the cooldowns. If he stays alive here, this is going to be really good for the side of Team Blaze.
The shields were just enough there from Tassadar to keep Battery
7 on
alive.
Void.
Mighty Gus has been used from Raffle in a desperate case, but the Immortal still has almost a quarter of its health alive. Through the shields will end up falling. Core health has been taken down to 75%. You said VP has been cast on 3 targets, and that will be it. Cloud9 with a quick 12-minute game versus Blaze on Battlefield of Eternity.
I mean, there's pretty much nothing to say about that other than Cloud9 played it almost flawlessly, and I feel like Team Blaze let them. In a lot of fronts. There was situations where with their composition, considering what they're very good at, they just felt like they let C9 have exactly what they wanted with that style of draft. They took a risk and they were like, oh, we'll give you all the advantages of your composition as best as you possibly can.
Well, they took them. And
I mean, they definitely did. They had a lot of smart decisions here. Look at that huge void there coming out. Arthalon trying to... Look at this spin to win here. Actually, it wasn't this team fight. Sorry. Huge Sunder coming out from King Caffeine here. And just once the void hits, they just try and get as many resets on the Li Ming. Dunk Train trying to survive there, barely making it out. And look at the minute they get these kills, once it goes a little bit too far, they don't worry about chasing everybody. They're just like, we're going to back out. We're going to get on the Immortal. Like, they do that very hastily, and that's something we didn't see Blaze do almost the entire match.
Yeah, I mean, just constant control, the heavy initiation, the VP, the Sundering, always being brilliantly placed. And then just the power of K1 Pro. He's never afraid to go deep and go in, constantly in the face of their opponents, even as a wizard type hero, a mage, whatever you want to call him. I've been called out on Twitter for calling her a mage before.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's just, I mean, honestly, C9 played that very, very well. What I want to see from Blaze when it comes to this next game, because, I mean, their backs are definitely against the wall now, and with how dominant that kind of showing was when it came to the side of C9. I really want to see them looking to try and min-max a lot of their advantages of their composition, trying to minimize C9's advantages.
Yeah. Now, Dread, do you know how many kills Blaze got in that game?
I actually didn't keep track directly. I'm going to say it was very limited.
It was 0?
It was 0? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what happens when you decide to defend your Punisher when you don't have the early game composition. Realistically, it's one of those things it's one of the most underestimated strategies in the game, right? So it's essentially Haunted Mines 2.0. That map that is essentially what it is.
Yeah, with the grave columns, the way it works.
I don't care how far behind your composition is and how late scaling it is. If you decide to play defensive and don't have enough hard engaged lockdown to be able to deal with that early game defense, over time, unless you get roughly probably 5 to 6 kills, you're going to still fall behind in that type of situation because your Immortal is going to be a 0% or 100% shields. Your opponents will be, unless you get those lockdowns and unless you get those kills. Later in the game, it's different. Those picks are very long, but in the early game, that's not the case. Those death timers are very, very short. So by defending, you're essentially just letting them just like lemmings coming back and back and back, slowly getting it lower and lower and lower.
Murkies.
Exactly, until you get to the point where you're going to see we saw 3 Punishers, all 90%. Why? 0 offense on the side of Blaze. Even if you have the late game composition, you need to be offensive.
So I have a question. Why isn't there a murky version of Lemmings yet, where it's just Murlocs?
That actually is
why
a
don't
good
we
skin.
have that game?
Oh, Blizzard, please. That is a very good skin. A murky Lemming skin. I mean, I'd be willing to buy it. Oh, man.
So stylistically, we talked about Sonya being a weird solo warrior, but on that map in particular, when they have that huge damage, like it looked impossible to race Cloud9. You think that's a big part of their decision-making to go for Sonya as a lone warrior?
Yeah, I do. Well, I think the Sonya as a lone warrior, I genuinely think that was just them. It's just a composition. Number one is kind of a little bit of that hiding, but number two, it's just like them dealing with denial from Blaze, but then also, like, if they picked an Illidan there, which I think that was what we were looking to see Blaze go towards, I mean, Illidan would have a really hard time with that comp. Like, a really hard time. So they're pretty much like, pick Illidan, we dare you. And they didn't, and they didn't play their composition. In my opinion, didn't maximize on their advantages nearly as well as they could have. So
Cloud9, they've always been masters of drafting, and they force out a Sonya ban. Only the Ventic and Cloud9 have been running that hero.
And it's willing for a first ban here. I feel like that is definitely playing off of fear right now on the side of Blaze.
That's a win for Cloud9 already. It's a mental victory.
Yeah, that's definitely a mental victory. That's not a good sign here when it shows, unless Blaze has a very pocket strat that was directed towards Sonya specifically, which I'm going to say I doubt is the case. That is very telling of kind of their mental state right now, which from the competitive side of things, it's just when you do that, you feel so bad. Unless you walk away with a win, then you feel like you've understood the game way better. But if you walk away with a lose in the situation, you're like, oh. And look at that. Zeratul still, every game with Blaze has been first pick or banned. Every single game.
It's so smart, though. I mean, that hero, we've seen the impact of VP. And even without VP, I mean, with the Vorpal Blade style of Zeratul just going and being obnoxious, he does have just huge impact in all stages of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to see what these teams are looking for. Is Blaze going to be locking in that first pick, Rhaegar, as we've seen kind of been the tradition here? But I don't know. Honestly, I feel like Blaze is going to try and mix it up. I wouldn't be... Okay, let me say it this way. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick something that we aren't used to seeing in this slot. They lock it down. But at the same time, I don't know if it would have been the right answer. So here we go. Cloud9 now going to walk in instantly, going to go Thrall and Falstad there.
The solo laner and then the global presence, they're actually... I'm actually a little surprised to see Thrall over Zagara. But, I mean, they've been playing Thrall so well all weekend long.
Absolutely, and it could be a little bit of a pairing situation as well, or just a general strat that Cloud9 kind of understands that they want to be running. But if you think about just hitting Asunder, it makes Gust a far easier spell to use effectively.
That's true.
You just, I mean, you split the Cs and then you proceed to Gust half of the C away. I mean, and then there you go. You can blow up the front wall there, or front group of players.
Imagine if Moses had Mighty Gust.
Imagine. All right, so we are going to see Li Ming is going to be picked up here on the side of Blaze. Really good mage with the resets. I definitely like that pickup on their half. Are they going to throw in that spicy cheese? Are they going to whip it out somewhere in this draft? I do think that the second half, Cho'Gall is something that we're going to see on the contestant for the ban phase for them. But realistically, I feel like they got to find some kind of answer when it comes to their draft here.
Yeah, they've been running a lot of Rhaegar with Tassadar, and they could try to just put that here as a very neutral pick where they can go wherever they want. With the double sustain, it's nice. But they could also just go for that generic, we're going to grab one healer, one assassin, one warrior, and then round out our comp afterwards. We have seen plenty of that in the past. Muradin standing out as the warrior, Tassadar is a neutral pick.
Yeah, definitely the Warriors have kind of made it to the second half of the draft after post-second ban for most of these teams, but they say no, they're going to lock it in. I think that's very telling of their next picks, though, just because nobody's been like Muradin's the best tank and pick him in this phase. That's the first time that's happened this entire tournament.
Yeah, in this weekend, yes, but in the past couple weekends during the qualifier, we did see Muradin in this slot a lot if Rhaegar were the first pick, just because of the pairing of the two.
I agree, but I feel like because this weekend has been so much different than the rest, I feel like that's telling of something that they want to run. For instance, if they feel like with Cho'Gall they need the double tank, or if they feel like they need a double tank pairing, I wouldn't be surprised after Blaze locking that in before the second ban phase. Cho'Gall going to be banned out, though, for Cloud9. Everybody, I mean, Zeratul and Cho'Gall seem to be the story when playing with or against Team Blaze.
I mean, it makes sense. That's this team's power spike for sure. Blaze, what are they worried about? They could deny the ETC. They're going to do that once again, forcing King Caffeine into a pick he does not prefer. This is something they've done twice. King Caffeine's very vocal that he doesn't like to play Johanna as much. Those are his two go-to warriors, Muradin and ETC, so this could be a Stitches pickup.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and it synergizes pretty well with the Falstad. Also on this map, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of transition to that fish in the barrel-ish style strategy, just because when you stand onto the shrines to capture them, is essentially a large period of time where you're sitting within a small area, meaning fishing hook is going to come into really high value in the later half of the game. That fish in the barrel strat that I'm kind of referencing is something that Cloud9 likes to do with a little bit of like delay from kind of like Tassadar providing sight and a little bit of poke here and there, and then he provides the vision, you land the hook, and then you follow up with like a Brightwing or a Jaina, something with hard damage or CC, and get the pick there. But I also can see them pulling away from something else. Thrall being locked in, Zeratul being removed, Sonya being removed as well.
well. They're going to go with the Illidan. Okay.
All right, we're seeing double melee once again here for Cloud9, but this time they do have Uther once again. It's so fitting on Dunk Train. He's got that glorious beard. If Dunk Train had eyes that blue, oh, he'd be so handsome.
He definitely would.
Not that he isn't already handsome.
No. I mean, I don't disagree with you there. So now what is Blaze going to do? Are they going to run a double tank into an Illidan now with that early prioritization? So positives of running a double tank in this style composition. A lot of lockdown, which Illidan struggles with. Downsides, I do not like that Tassadar pickup. That was such a good draft
another middle
move.
of the road draft. This is kind of like what they do when they seem like they're a little confused as to how they want to approach it.
Here's the story of Tassadar. Tassadar is a great hero and a great enabler on a lot of fronts. And whenever you see the Illidan, you're so afraid to let Tassadar be paired with him, right?
Yeah.
But one of the beautiful situations is Illidan is great against Tassadar. So if they deny it from you, you're in a situation where you're like, okay, you're going to pick a weak DPS into, like a pseudo healer, a weak DPS into an Illidan?
Right.
Are
How do you
me?
handle it? What's your stun? Oh, Muradin? Okay, where's your next stun?
It's like they're walking Li Ming damage at this point, and Illidan doesn't do that well without this. Like, it's just one of those it's just a beautiful decision making from them.
Protoss
They go with the
brethren.
Artanis.
All right, well, this is like one of those unique picks. Definitely.
There's the double tank.
The
They pull
Cheez-Its,
it
my
out.
friend. The Cheez-Its.
Absolutely, and that is going to be, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about this. This is going to be, I don't even name suppression, what is the
Suppression
blind?
pulse.
The blind.
Yeah.
He's going to lay the blind onto the Illidan and use that
It's
as
cool. It's cool, and it's a big blind, but Illidan attacks so fast, does it even matter?
Not-ish, kind of. He could also go with Beam. I mean, Beam would be on him, honestly, with the mobility from
He's
Illidan,
so fast.
though it's
It
not
doesn't
going to be
matter.
that effective.
No, that's not it. You need the stun for the beam to be effective.
But we saw Blaze loves that Artanis. It's kind of a comfort pick for them a little bit. I mean, it's not like they're just pulling this like out of the thin air, right? I mean, honestly, for Cloud9, they shouldn't pick a tank. I don't think they will pick a tank. I think they'll pick a DPS. It could be ranged. It could be like melee. Honestly, with how many melees are banned out, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think they'll go with that. I think they'll be going with kind of a ranged-oriented hero. It could be anything, really, at this point.
What about Brightwing? I mean, Brightwing just for the poly, the peekaboo, the control that she provides, and just the global presence. All right, there she is.
That's the second time Cloud9's ran double support on this map. I think that might kind of be their staple. I remember playing when we were playing on Temple Storm with Arthalon, he very much liked that double support, and I wonder if that's kind of him throwing that influence there, if Cloud9 really just adores it. I do think it pairs a little bit well with this composition.
I just love the double global because the threat that always exists. I mean, you leave Illidan alone in that top shrine, and he's sitting there controlling it, doing a good job, and suddenly Falstad and Brightwing are there. It's like, oh no, now we just lost 2 heroes because it was a 3v. It went from a 1v2 to a 3v2.
Okay, so I 100% agree with you. What I want to do right now is try and look at these compositions and talk about how is Blaze going to win team fights. It's something that I'm trying to figure out. I'm not even going to sit here and like with the double tank against an Illidan and a Tassadar in your only DPS as a burst-oriented hero. I hate saying this, but I feel like you have to ignore the Illidan.
Well, I mean,
How are
what's
they
their
gonna kill
control?
him?
What's their lockdown? That's how you kill Illidan. You stop him from being able to move, right?
Yes.
And they only have
Stun.
Stormbolt, they have Reverberation, and they have Suppression Pulse. Those, and of course, the Phase Prism is nice for displacing him, but he's just going to flip over you like you're a trampoline.
Yeah, I think they have to move past him. Keeping attention on the Illidan is going to be worst case here. But Dunk Train will be playing the Uther. Arthalon's going to be on the Brightwing once more. iDream will be playing that Illidan. K1 Pro is going to be on the Falstad, and King Caffeine's playing the Thrall once more.
Alrighty, on the side of Team Blaze, currently down 0-1 to Cloud9. They have Claudius on Artanis, Huge playing Rhaegar, Rufflecopter on Li Ming, Battery on Muradin, and DXN on Tassadar. Remember, the team that advances here will be moving on to playoffs in the upper bracket side, and we're going into Game 2 on Sky Temple.
And right out the gates, the level 1 here, the skirmish is probably going to fall on the side of probably C9, honestly. It's a little bit weird just because of the raw damage output and the double... and the Illidan does well in those kind of long-distance skirmishes, but I'm still trying to figure it out for the side of Team Blaze. What team fight are they looking for? I mean, you could say just the huge Li Ming play, but honestly, is that the way that you need to be drafting? I don't know. Finding a way around this Illidan is going to be very difficult for them. Or maybe they just have a master plan that is honestly far past my knowledge.
That Artanis Skinergy is on point, though.
Yeah, it definitely is. Trickslayer right now is so hyped somewhere in the world. Blaze with that 59%, though, definitely have the fan base to make this game happen.
Cloud9 has always been the underdog
Really
in the fan
aggressive.
base, while King Caffeine taking a lot of damage. Once again, on Thrall in this game, a very unorthodox pickup, seeing them swapping roles. We have iDream going deep right now on Illidan, flipping out everything. Huge took so much damage, but the body blocks from Battery are sufficient to get him out. But is Battery going to be safe? The damage going out, Dwarf tossing to safety, but iDream sticks on him. As he's too far forward, the Face Prism pulls him in, and iDream will be the first to fall in this game.
Yo, that was a beautiful Murden Dwarf toss. So when, at the same time, Illidan decided to Q, the Dwarf toss went over the wall, so Illidan actually leapt over the wall with him in this exact same time here and got him into a situation where they were able to confirm a kill. Really well done on their part, and so it's going to be interesting to see how well the Artanis can do. I think I'm going to see if Artanis is going to be diving the backline and kind of being a pseudo Illidan on the side of Team Blaze here. I don't honestly know how they're going to play this composition, but you see the tri-lane from Cloud9 in the upper half of the map. Interesting choice here. Usually not common to see against a double melee comp to run a triple 3-1-1.
Yeah, this is just, it's all kinds of crazy right now. I mean, King Caffeine, the Warrior Master, abandoning his role. No worries whatsoever for Cloud9, so definitely going to be a bit of a different game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Early prioritization over the shrines is going to be happening here in the middle of the map. Both these teams kind of dancing around. It is a 3 versus 2 here for a little bit of time, and you see Artanis already capping on the upper half. Blaze is making pretty smart rotations for the most part. It's all going to come down to this Brightwing teleport. Definitely something to be looking at here.
Okay, the pings are coming in. The false head is flying up. The Hammer of Justice there onto Claudius, and the body blocks are sufficient. Dream is taking so much damage though from that Pharaoh lunge, and Brightwing has to phase shift up to make sure they have the peels. Arcane Flare does enough damage. No, just barely not enough with that, and it's iDream that falls once again on Illidan. Dunk Train looks like he'll end up falling to Battery, and suddenly it's 3-0 in favor of Blaze with King Caffeine incredibly low himself.
That's honestly huge for their composition. They definitely can't be falling behind against an Illidan. If you do fall behind from an Illidan, if he wasn't a pain in your butt before, he definitely will be after that. The shot's going to be taken on the upper half of the map, and being able to survive on that Artanis there with those shields, really well done on their part. The focus fire, for those who haven't seen much of Artanis, he very much kind of works like Illidan in the sense that if you don't properly focus him, he will dance all over your team with those auto attack resets, especially later in the game if he decides to move into that triple strike build, which is considered a little bit of the standard here.
Triple strike with Zealot charge. I mean, he's a late game hero in a lot of ways too.
No, very much. His spike hits in the 13-16 tier without a doubt. Until then, honestly, he's a little bit of just like a walking like a prison, just like get the swap out there. But they do give up a little bit of the shots on mid, but Blaze walking away with roughly a quarter to half level lead here already before 9. So the race to 10 going to be slightly won by them. How the Knights rotation are going to be happening is going to be definitely in the advantage of C9 because they do have that double global we were talking about.
Yeah, all right. Well, actually, we're seeing the combustion there. I can't remember the name, but level 4 on Brightwing, the poly that explodes.
Yeah, it's unstable.
Unstable anomaly.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so unstable anomaly was picked up on Brightwing. A bit of a mix-up there. Sometimes we do see peekaboo just to get that vision, especially when you're posturing around the various temples here on this map. But beyond that, everything's pretty darn standard.
Cloud9 went with a really early Knights, and Blaze responds with an early Knights. It's going to be interesting to see, do they decide to go with that giant siege style strategy we were touching up on a little bit earlier today, or yesterday, excuse me. You do see Blaze directly rotate to try and get that clear, make sure their Knights are winning. But look at on the bottom half of the map, Cloud9's taking those Giants. What I think you can expect from them is keep Brightwing top and then 4-man push the front wall on bottom with this. At least 3-man. It's a very common strategy. Just try and make these Giants be overly effective if your opponent overreacts there. But Tassadar getting caught out a little bit here. Really good stun from Battery in order to get the peel out, and he will just be able to save his little Tassadar friend there.
Yeah, great response there out of Battery. It really was. I mean, even though Tassadar is a pretty safe hero, being able to turn that quickly is rather nice. Dream looking to continue diving in. Battery gets a big Storm Bolt, and we see the heals coming out from iDream with that first aid, but is it enough for him to sustain? A big orb juke there from Li Ming, and iDream might have his 3rd death of the game, and there he goes.
Look at Claudius. He is still alive. That shield that be left and right from the Tassadar and him, the pairing between those two, like I said, he's kind of like that Illidan, right?
Bro, barrel roll over the wall, and now Battery is very low, but the shields from Tassadar are just enough every time.
I mean, DXN, man, he is the sub here filling in for Jason, but he is showing why he was chosen as that sub, playing absurdly well when it comes to the timing of those shields. But again, they didn't focus the Artanis, and he was able to kind of dance around them, being like that pseudo Illidan I was talking about there. Cloud9 also not rotating very heavily when it came to abusing those Giants. Arthwan soaking on the the upper half of the map the entire time, so the XP lead is a little bit less than it should be. But right now, I've been impressed with the early game here when it comes to Artanis and the rest of Blaze.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, DXN is actually playing in Heroes of the Dorm with some of these members of Blaze. So it's actually kind of awesome to see this, you know, Dorm player coming as a sub and seeing great success. But wow, the Temple is under control from Blaze once again. The wall has fallen in bottom, and the full level lead, but has Huge overstepped his bounds. A big stun onto King Caffeine. Without this warrior in the front line, it's costing Cloud9 so much.
It's legitimately, it seems like every time Cloud9 goes in to be making a move, it just is like, oh, their health is gone. Like, just instantly.
Yeah.
It's surprising. Honestly, I didn't think it would be playing out this heavily this soon, honestly. But Cloud9, without that Void, I feel like the Void from Zeratul was such a universal tool that makes it where almost honestly any composition is viable, whereas now without that, it's going to be interesting to see if the solo Illidan kind of tank is going to be enough. I feel like it might have been, but when you really think about it, outside of Illidan, they don't have too many threats other than Cloud9 or K1 Pro with a really good Gust.
Yeah, well, we talked about Suppression Pulse. That has been picked up here with Ancestral Heal, Avatar, Disintegrate. And Tassadar is considering if he wants Archon form. Yeah,
it's going to be really interesting or important to be looking at here, guys, when it comes to the team fighting, how well that blind is going to be effective when it comes to Artanis, or excuse me, when it comes to the Illidan, how long is he able to blind? Because keep in mind, those auto techs might be able to benefit him and to be able to get out of that a little bit quicker. I love the strategy here from Blaze. The creativity of this group is just phenomenal.
Yeah, really, really unique drafts and picks all throughout the tournament. We do have Sundering picked up here with Metamorphosis, Divine Shield. They're going to be Mighty Gust, and almost guaranteed it's Blink Heal, but I have seen crazier things.
I definitely think that Blink Heal will be the go-to. But with a double healer, I mean, you have the option to possibly pull away from it. Shock and Awe, the Dream, I mean, or excuse me, Hinterlands Blast is what it's titled now. But I mean, you never know with Cloud9 here. Both these teams get a little bit creative, but did they go a little bit too far off the spectrum here? I don't know. Blaze really doing well.
Okay, well, the full level lead is being maintained. We see a bit of map control trying to be regained by Cloud9, but structurally, I mean, things are severely in favor of Team Blaze. Oh my goodness, Emerald, I was calling for this yesterday. I miss that ability so much. Cloud9, they're just like the fan service.
Pretty much at this point, but they are, like you said, structurally so far behind this map. They're trying to abuse their globals. Oh. Expect the Emerald Wind. It's a little too late there. Not very effective. The Sunder going to follow up, though.
Gust coming in. They're diving in. The Ancestral Heal does connect, and it is good, but Huge is being body blocked nicely. They're swapping their focus to Rafflecopter and Battery, but it's a little bit split here. They find Huge in the back, trying to dive on in. Suppression Pulse, like you said, was very strong, but Huge is so fast with that wolf form, and iDream is just doing his best to stick on that target. The phase shift coming in for Brightwing, but the Stormbolt is key at the end. King Caffeine flanking from above, diving in once again. Can they lock down anyone? It's just a big chase, and they don't succeed in removing a single member of Blaze.
That blind was the only reason that team fight didn't go terribly. That was huge removal of damage when it was a 4 vs 5 from Claudius there. But now trying to take this fight against a double healer without resetting and taking it 3 vs 5. Look at the health bars already on the side of Blaze. Very, very low. Oh my goodness.
Huge damage coming out from Rafflecopter in this situation, just continuing to poke down Cloud9. But as they heal up, they're going to look for the re-engage. A big face prism, and the Divine Shield has to be used, but the Gust into the corner. iDream cannot find that target. The blind on 3 members of Cloud9. They just cannot get the kills.
No, they can't. The skirmish everywhere. Look at the health bars of Cloud9. Everybody's slowly going down, even though they have the double healer here. Oh my goodness. I just want to say that was a huge shout out to Claudius. He's been playing this Artanis phenomenally. Stun coming out in the Uther. He's going to be falling down as well. But Claudius, he times the he times the blind around the D shield. He waited for it to fall off before he lays the blind onto it, completely helping the team survive over those long periods. I literally can't even at this point. I am blown away.
Meta, my friends.
I am blown away. I've always known the synergies between Artanis and with Tassadar, but I didn't think they had enough damage. Ray God coming in, being a really good enabler here. And right now, 13 tier advantage, all structural advantage sitting on the side of Team Blaze. As I've said all yesterday, on this type of map with this big of a lead, it's their game to lose at this point.
And Suppression Pulse is global cast. It's a short cooldown, already ready to roll once again. It's just a very powerful denial to Illidan. Showing great power. Battery gets the poly, still has Dwarf Toss available, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, the disengage from Disintegrate is successful. They really just don't have this strong initiation without a big Emerald Wind.
Oh, K1 Pro taking a lot of damage there. iDream, though, getting really low. The blind coming out.
And we do see the big Mighty Gus pushing them away. Metamorphosis has been cast, and iDream does have the bigger health bar, and he's trying to do some damage. The Emerald really just separating the team. That's what they need to do. Claudius is the focus. We do see the Sundering go out, and they manage to finally pick off a hero. Artenis has fallen. Yuge might be next, but the big orb from Li Ming forces back Illidan.
That was absolutely all came down to where they decided to take that team fight. The split that was able to happen. Emerald Wind coming in, Sunder coming in. Just Artenis had no ability to be able to survive on his own. If that happened in an open territory, not so much in that little chokehold that you see, but maybe where Arthalon is in that open area, that fight would have been a completely different story on the side of Blaze. And so now that we've seen that happen one time, it's crucial. Is Blaze going to be trying to take the fights over the shrines like in these chokeholds or in these open areas? Keep in mind, bottom and top are the only ones with that. Mid is the only shrine where it's very, very open for the most part, so it's crucial to see where they take the team fights.
Yeah, all right. Well, we do see experience is still very much in favor of Team Blaze by a full level, but Cloud9 trying to catch back by finally removing a fort in this game. All 3 forts on the side of Cloud9 have been destroyed by Team Blaze, and structurally, I mean, that is the name of the game here in Sky Temple.
Absolutely, and now you see the Knight's going to be taking on the upper half, a little bit of pressure, painting the map red. Not really going to get him anything. Let's look at the map here. We do see the structures. All the forts are going to be down on the side of Cloud9. They are losing half of their keep wall on mid and on bottom, so neither of those will, mid will in theory actually provide a keep barely, I believe, but none of the other structures will actually, or shrines will lead to a keep on their half. So they are in a very, very heavy situation. Race to 16, won by the side of Blaze. If they get 16 and the shrine spawns on mid next, you could be, it could be rarely bad for the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely on the back foot. And you talked about this earlier. Illidan's a hero that doesn't want to be behind. He's the kind of hero that really snowballs once you have the lead. But when he's behind, it just feels so much harder to finalize those takedowns, finalize those kills on your opponents because of their advantage. And level 16 is just around the corner here for Team Blaze.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to how well Arthalon can use the teleport and Emerald Wind. I think that's crucial to the success of their team. Without that, I just feel like by not taking, King Fiend, or excuse me, K1 Pro getting caught out a little bit there. The problem was that you saw everybody sit a little bit too far back. Battery was the only one in position to confirm that kill. They do pull out a Gust, which is great. Shrine's now spawning. It's going to be only about a 3-second time difference, but not that big. But now look at that mid shrine. That's going to be the one almost threatening a keep here. Is keep in mind when contesting this middle shrine. Now they're worried about boss, but keep in mind when worried about the shrine, Huon's site has the huge advantage when it comes to this middle shrine.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, we saw Thrall did go back to base. Everyone's just trying to top off. We do have 10 seconds before Mighty Gust is back in action, so we'll be ready for this fight. Everything full potential. Arthalon trying to soak in the bottom lane on Brightwing. We do still have Thrall in the top on King Caffeine, trying to get themselves to level 16 because they just cannot afford to take a team fight without those talents.
There we go. The shots coming off in the middle half of the map here. Look at Battery defending that site up there. A really good job from him. His positioning is great, trying to make sure his opponents can't move. Notice how C9's moving into the site before they do anything here. They realize how valuable that tool is when these shrines spawn between these two. So they're going to get off the shots a little bit here. I really would like to see them confirm the rest of the shots here on mid. That's going to be a keep and then risk the fight elsewhere. But no, they're going to take it a little bit early here. This is a chokehold area for them. This is very risky on the side of Blaze.
So much damage onto iDream already, though he still has that Metamorphosis if he absolutely needs it. And there it goes, casting with Sundering at the same time and swapping their focus down to Rafflecopter. We see he's chasing with a teleport over the wall for Li Ming. She gets back to safety. iDream needs a Divine Shield to stay alive. Emerald Wind doing a great job, making Battery rather alone by himself, but the self-sustain of Murden is more than enough for him to get out. And the huge damage from Li Ming behind. All the health bars super low, but it's iDream that goes down. The reset for all the damage out of Li Ming, and she is just chunking through everyone. K1 Pro, there is no way out of this, my friend.
I don't think Cloud9 can win this game. I think compositionally they are so far behind that they have to make really, really good plays and picks, but I think if they keep taking these head-on team fights, I don't think they have the chance to make a walk away with a win. That was honestly a dream scenario when it came to where they decided to take a fight. Like the fact that Blaze honestly let them take a fight in that area is terrifying. Yeah. And they still didn't walk away with a big win. Emerald Wind came out a little bit late. Well, it didn't start at the early team fight. I feel like unless Arthalon moves in and Emerald wins the split and get an early pick, I just don't know whether or not they're going to be able to get this. Boss now going to be picked up, threatening the bottom half of the map. They will not confirm a keep directly as long as the defense is there. It's going to be threatening a little bit of the front wall, but the
Dunk Train is going to get body blocked into oblivion. He gets picked off. That is going to be a long death timer, and with a boss already marching down the bottom lane, a pick on the primary support of Cloud9, this is a keep that is going to be heavily threatened.
So now what I want to talk about, though, is yes, Uther is down, but if they make any mistake here during the siege, this is very risky. This is where Illidan thrives. The chokehold that happens on that bridge, the distance to safety is the farthest. If they let Uther spawn and take this fight, if Cloud9 gets one little bit of an upper hand, they're going to walk away with, they're going to keep going and going, turn that small win into a huge win here.
Okay, Dream is going deep. The keep has fallen early, and he's just backing away. The mirror ball just does so much damage, and he has no choice but to back away. Team Blaze is gonna siege up on the core.
They need to split up. If they stay grouped, here comes the wind.
All right, Brightwing has phase shifted and Gust into the back, sundering onto almost the entire team. The continuous wins to try to separate the Li Ming. They burn her down with the polymorph. The boss has gotten the core down to just 70%, but they're trying to focus on it. Down to 40. Team Blaze is taking us to a game number 3.
And real quick, oh man, I don't know. They played that composition not only very, I feel like a lot of it came down to C9 just trying to be a little bit too cocky, honestly. A lot of it, like the Emerald Wind choice, I understand the decision making behind it a little bit, but realistically, unless you use it as a tool, like with the Zeratul, for instance, it's still a little bit justified in those type of situations because you can TP on the person and then split right at the beginning and fight. But look at this, the right out the gates, Battery getting the E over the wall, making iDream did it a little bit too much, the swap in and confirm the kill. But Jake, that was the start of this game, and it didn't stop.
No, it never stopped. I mean, we saw a look of promise with some of those continuous wins, but they were constantly throwing their focus down to Li Ming, was using the teleport to juke, not even picking up a teleport style play, going for the full-on magic missile mirror ball, constantly shredding through, making Illidan never safe.
This is the
situation.
Yeah, this is the worst case fight. Look at this is in a chokehold where the Cloud9 should excel, but look, the Gus, they're getting thrown around in this little box and they still can't kill anything. They can't get, Illidan has no DPS on him and they're still in a losing situation. Emerald Wind essentially gaining no value in that. Like, that was the worst fight Blaze could have taken and they still win it.
The double warrior, the power of Artanis with suppression pulse does work out. But guys, we're thrown to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a few.
Experience has taught the Protoss that when we do not fight together, we die alone. But we shall not see defeat this day. For we stand as one. Our differences will not divide us, but make us stronger. Together, we will defend the Nexus with honor and earn our glory. I am Hierarch Artanis, leader of all Protoss. And in unity, there is strength.
Alrighty guys, welcome back here. We're currently going into game number 3 between Team Blaze, who just took game 2 off of Cloud9.
Not only did they take game number 2 off of Cloud9, they took it off of them with an Artanis. We've seen Cloud9 run 2 tankless compositions, and then they ran in Artanis as a counter to that with the blind onto their entire team, countering a lot of their melees, and it was honestly very impressively done on the side of Blaze. And it's going to be interesting to see as Cloud9, after they lose that game, are they going to be trying to go with a little bit more of what we consider to be standard, or are they going to keep going with this attempted, whether or not it's what they think to be the best, or are they going to be trying to keep hiding a little bit of maybe some of the strategies, waiting later in the tournament? I don't know. I think they're going to see a little bit more of the standard. I don't think they were willing to risk this, and Blaze is just coming out hot.
Yeah, the map is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen, and the chance that we're going to see another composition that does not have a warrior is quite unlikely, because every time we saw Thrall and Illidan try to close that gap with the enemy team, they just took unfathomable quantities of damage from that Li Ming.
I think if there's a Zeratul, I wouldn't say that I don't think that it's a possibility. I think they'll still possibly run it. He's just he is the character that allows so many crazy compositions to be viable that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I think, but without that Zeratul, I agree with you. I don't think that's going to be something we're looking for. I wouldn't be surprised. There is a hero that Cloud9 likes a little bit more than most of the other teams, but is viable on this map more than on some of the others. If a Sylvanas kind of came out, I know that they kind of like that, the Lisa playstyle a little bit, and it might be something we see them do here against Blaze, trying to catch them off guard a little bit.
I mean, the power of Sylvanas' trait, the Black Arrow, to lock down the structures whilst the Web Weaver is pushing, you really can't ignore it. It just does too much damage.
Absolutely, and the wave clear she can provide post 7 with that unstable poison. She just almost one-shots an entire minion wave and then can disable the structures, allowing the Web Weavers to gain a high amount of value. At the same time, I can see them pulling away, just running a traditional 1-4. It's not something that I think that they have to go to by any means, but it is an option that I think is more accessible for them than some of the other competitors.
Alrighty, well, they're getting ready here again. Tomb of the Spider Queen, the layout often, like you said, 1-4. Sometimes we see the specialist prioritized a little bit more here, but having a strong solo laner is always going to be crucial. You need that for the trio or the quad to roam between 2 lanes, and it's also quite nice to be able to have those rotations. So Miranda, very powerful here. Zagara, Thrall, often very highly prioritized as well. But some teams will, even though it's not the biggest map, we do see Falstad used to great success on this battleground as well.
Yeah, he definitely can be. And one of the things, too, to keep in mind when you see the 1-4 is that all lanes on this map are not equal. The safety of the bottom lane is far higher than that of the top lane, making the rotations very crippling comparative to those of like Dragonshire when you see another maps that run the 1-4. But Cloud9 right out the gates banning out. I would not be surprised heavy prioritization of a solo laner here.
Could be Thrall.
They've been running Thrall everywhere, but they're going to go Rhaegar, and then I think there you'll see kind of like the Thrall on this side.
Thrall Li Ming, because Li Ming is so good. What do you think would be the optimal picks?
I think it's going to be Thrall, and then I think Li Ming is definitely a very good option coming out from them. I think it's something that they've been holding on to a lot. I don't think they're going to pick Tass. Maybe. I don't know. Blaze is a creative team. I don't want to try and be the one that completely understands their thought process. So Li Ming, and I do think it's going to be a Thrall. I don't expect them to let that go through.
Yeah. Okay. So Thrall, Li Ming are the picks. Now Cloud9, they do have the Rhaegar.
Sonya Tass. Sonya Jaina.
Ooh.
Sonya's 100%.
Sonya's, yeah,
she's 100%.
Right. Dream just so good on that hero. Could be King Caffeine if they opt to go no warrior. But they have to be worried about that warrior lock that does happen with the ETC Muradin being removed. So they could force their hand to even go for Sonya Muradin or Sonya ETC. Yeah,
they could, and try and get King on one of those more comfortable picks, because we did see in the past that the ETC was banned out, then the Muradin picked up, and they said, okay, we're going tankless. So you're right. Maybe a prioritization.
They gave him Thrall twice in the series, and it looked great on the first map. But that was honestly just a roll.
Honestly, I'm going to credit that win to Zeratul. I really think people underestimate the diversity that he provides to compositions. That Void Prison is insane.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's going to be interesting that you see Cloud9 thinking it out. They don't know instantly what they're going to be looking to do, maybe showing a little bit signs of questioning kind of the confidence that they maybe had starting out from the beginning of the series. Like I said, I think that they should be comfortable enough to let it go through. I don't think prioritizing the tank that heavily is something that they need. King Caffeine is a very diverse player, allowed to go to the Johanna. I think that the Sonya Jaina, K1 Pro on the Jaina, please go with the Sonya as well. I think that they've just got an absurdly strong composition if they lock that in here, Jake.
Okay, yeah, I mean, with Jaina, She's very good at everything. You think about the styles that she can do. She can run for a Frostbolt build. She can run for the Snowstorm with the additional width, which is probably the most common here on this map, considering she can get a lot of globes with Conjurer's Pursuit at level 1 and then Snowstorm level 4 for the huge clear when you have the massive wave of minions that can build up.
Yeah, no, she essentially has some of the most diverse, not only builds, but playstyles. Like, she's universally pretty much a strong hero, not only because she provides the slow, she has large amount of burst, she has wave clear, she scales throughout the entire game, and they go with the Murden. They want that prioritization, backing out from the Sonya. I don't know how comfortable or how good I think that it is. Honestly, maybe it comes down to the lack of worry of the prioritization of maybe Sonya on the other half. But I think if Sonya go through on the rest of this draft, I am very fearful for Team Blaze's composition. Cho Gall banned out for Blaze. Whoa. They get rid of it. They say, no, you can't have it. Do they have something in mind here? I feel like with the rest of their composition, man. This draft is absolutely interesting.
What world is it that Blaze bans out Cho'Gall? I mean, they're just seeing the threat of Cho'Gall on the side of Cloud9. Tassadar. I'm actually kind of surprised. I guess they're just not worried about doing the warrior lock, so Team Blaze can go for ETC if that's what they want. But this is a battleground where we do see Johanna used a little bit more frequently, just because the power of Knight takes pawn and the safe rotations, rotating between mid and bottom, and of course, she is a very strong piggy bank for holding all those gems.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of it's going to be the solo laner on the side of Cloud9 is yet to be kind of picked, at least not a dominant one that we see, and there's not too many left up on their roster. And Team Blaze has that Thrall to be the dominant solo, so they definitely going to need to look to draft some wave clear. But as I said, I think that if they give Cloud9 the Sonya, Jaina, Sonya, and Murden together, Jaina and Sonya just together in general are just absurdly powerful. And we've seen that Cloud9 likes that hero that they've been picking up a lot. Same as Naventic, and I definitely think, okay, Falstead's going to be the deny here. Good sustained DPS with the ban out on Zagara. Blaze going to be looking probably their tank pickup here, unless they feel like a support's really dominant, or they want a high to pick. They could want a high to pick as well. They haven't picked a tank early, so I don't see any signs of, obviously, a double tank now with the 3 DPS. I think they'll go with the wave clear. I think they'll pick JoJo.
Yeah, I'm feeling JoJo here and save that support for last. Could be Medic, could be Karazim. I could see a lot of action. I mean, honestly, the support's really flexible at this point.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of heroes or supports that are extremely viable within the current meta. You know, probably the one that pulls away as considered debatably one of the weakest right now is definitely going to be on the Malfurion, but he does provide a little bit of wave clear. Sure. I don't think it's going to be a hero that we see in this type of draft, really. Blaze going really deep in their pool, thinking about it, though. They go with Johanna. They lock it in. All right, so I think this is going to be Sonya, and then I think it's just going to be a Rain DPS, and I feel like that Cloud9 has a extremely dominant composition, if that's the case.
So we talked about the power of Sylvanas being a potential here, but this is also a battleground where we do see Kael'thas a little bit more frequently than others, just because of the chain bomb when you do have those big waves of minions. And just the shape of the map, chain bomb can be a good form of denial as you're trying to stall out some of those captures of the turn-ins.
Yeah, they're going to be waiting it out a little bit here, trying to figure it out. There's a lot of options. Like, this is one of the situations when you have a tank picked that early, you have Rhaegar picked up too, you can go double tank. You can go Bruiser, range, DPS. There's the Sylvanas I was talking about. Is it going to be Sonya?
I'm feeling a dread. I Dream on Sonya. It's absolutely legendary. The double frontliner. She's got great sustain in those waves of minions as she's constantly rotating around, and the presence she provides, the Stormbolt paired with the Ancient Spear. Crazy lockdown, giving Jaina all the time in the world to help blow up that target.
Yeah, and they're waiting on it. Am I missing something? I feel like there's got to, let me look at the heroes here. There's got to be something somewhere in here. I'm missing what they're going for. A sneaky snake strategy. They told me they have something that I've never seen. They could go Leoric. You're 100% correct. Leoric is an option here.
Arthas? Is Arthas back?
Please don't say that. I don't know.
Sonya, okay. Nothing weird, nothing weird. Sonya's locked in.
All right, so as long as, when it's Arthalon playing it, I definitely think it will be effective. The Wailing Arrow is going to be heavily effective here in these team fights, and they make something happen during that duration with the flank on K1, the engagement between Sonya and iDream, or Sonya on iDream on Sonya, excuse me, and then Muradin. It's just really, those first couple of seconds of the team fight are going to be really influential for the side of Cloud9. And really, it kind of carries out through the entire thing when you consider Sonya and Rhaegar together just whacking on your entire team. So love the composition coming out from the side of Cloud9. Right now, I can tell you, just looking at it, unless Blaze has something really pocket, there's no support. It's going to be Karazim, but like I don't think there's any support that I think is impressive. I don't see them taking anybody other than that.
You don't like the medic, just too risky with the double dive?
I mean, how are you gonna deal with K1 Pro flanking from behind you and Sonya just smacking you?
You're right. Yeah,
there's no
sounds
couples
bad.
therapy that will get you through that, man. That is.
All right, there's the Karazim.
Karazim. So it's going to be locked in.
Can you cast in that voice?
I wish, dude. I just love his voice. It's actually really sweet. But I can't. Hopefully, we do see a Super Saiyan or skin here from Karazim.
Oh, Goku?
Yeah. They got
You don't
the
like Goku? It's all about Goku?
No, I like them both. I also like kind of like the Avatar. You know,
Roku.
It's just like they also have Aang.
Oh yeah, they do.
They have the airbending. Yeah, they have airbending. So I mean, a lot of options when it comes to the skin world of Karazim.
I'm so far from being an airbender, though. I'm more of an earthbender, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Earth is a little bit closer to fire.
On a scale of 1 to Thrall, how good of an earthbender are you?
Oh gosh, depends on what I ate that day.
I'm gonna say right out the gates, though, if I have to choose a comp, I'm in love with what Cloud9's composition is able to do. As long as the early game doesn't go too heavily against them, I just don't see any way that Blaze is going to be able to deal with this type of comp. But I also have been the guy just sitting here talking about how much I love Sonya and watching everybody not pick it the whole weekend. So,
well, we have seen Cloud9 and Niantic, arguably the two top teams here in North America, playing a good bit of Sonya, but here are our compositions. Dunk Train going to be on Rhaegar, Arthlon playing Sylvanas, iDream on Sonya, K1 Pro will be playing Jaina, he's legendary with it, and King Caffeine on Muradin.
And for Team Blaze, we're going to have Claudius playing that Thrall, who was a miraculous Artanis last game, usually going to be on the Karazim. Rafflecopter will be playing Falstad, Battery is going to be on the Johanna, and DXN will be playing that Li Ming.
Jumping on into the third and final game on Tomb of the Spider Queen. This is it. Cloud9 and Team Blaze will be moving on to playoffs.
Right out the gates, if you mess with Cloud9's level 1, I'm afraid of how well they're going to be able to do a lot of damage to your face. The situation is like if they go blow to blow at level 1 and Jaina gets any kind of heavy slow and Sonya lands a good kill, it's just like watch their team melt. Blaze falling now 55%. I believe they were at 59 last time. Little lack of confidence now here, guys. Believe in the cheese.
Believe in the Cheez-Its. All right, well, the Talents is still holding on to that Jaina talent. Could be Conjurer's Pursuit. It is relatively common when you consider the rotations and that Globe collection that is so very powerful. But, you know, amplifying your trait is also a great option, and they will go for one of those.
The one downside to Cloud9's composition is they don't have as good, debatably. I don't know. They actually do. I was going to say Wave Clear, but they really do. Both these teams kind of going head-to-head a little bit here. Dwarf tossing out Lightning to get the dismount. Got him. But really, again, the early game, a lot of these teams kind of just dance around, feel each other out. Battery's going to provide a lot of wave clear if his Iron Skin is going to be used as something to be looking at here because the kill potential is definitely sitting on the side of Cloud9.
Well, they're really just kind of filling it out, pacing up the early part of the match. We're now starting to see how the lanes are going to flesh out. iDream as that solo lane in bottom versus Claudius. Of course, Thrall is very good, but that's something iDream can definitely hold on his own and a lot of pressure in that top lane. Yeah,
it's interesting to see that block you were talking about on Sonya at level 1. Also, keep in mind, I love the challenge choice going to be picked up with the barb shot, excuse me, by Arthlon. It's my personal favorite on Sylvanas. I feel like it provides her wave clear in the early game to be insane, helps out with that pre-7 a little bit of struggles that she does have, and it's going to help Cloud9's wave clear, what would have been really far behind, kind of catch up. So really smart pickup on his path there.
Okay, well, you see, it looks like they're just kind of spreading out where the gems go, not really designating a single hero to be the piggy bank of the team so far for Cloud9.
Okay. So, remember how I was talking about that kind of like Cloud9 might be pulling something out? I'm going to see something I've never seen before. This might be the case. I don't know if you'll actually go with it. If it does, I'll let you know. It's going to be happening around. It's going to be in the later half of the game. K1 may have that little sneaky snake stealthy pick for us here when it comes to his talent choice. But now, looking at the bottom half of the map, K1 Pro, or excuse me, King Caffeine's going to leap in. Misses the stun on Claudius, though, but he's going to be able to go down still. Look at,
the
lightning. Calculated, boys. Claudius gets White and Lightning out to get the proc of his passive, and he's going to survive. But what I was going to say is how good that slow. You saw the slow with Sonya, how hard it is to deal with her. That's going to be the rest of this game here. So really well done on Blaze's side, Jake.
Yeah, I cannot believe Claudius got out of that. I mean, the trait of Thrall clutching it out at the last moment. And now it's just continuing to race on the gems. 27-21 in favor of Blaze so far in this game. But experience, I mean, everything's been pretty darn standard with the rotations, just trying to get those picks left and right.
Yeah, and actually Blaze is making a really aggro rotation in the bottom half of the map because they're getting tri-lane push in. C9 realizes they can't deal with the wave clear, so they're going to be responding to the bottom lane, but iDream's going down.
Dream is very low. We do see the Radiant Dash in, and the last hit there of Thrall is enough for the kill. But King Caffeine trying to turn things around. K1 Pro with the flank, but realizing the hammering too much of a threat, has to back on out of there.
That's one of those situations where Cloud9 understands that they're not going to win the 1-4 properly. We saw Nebentic doing this as well. It's pretty much the sign of a really good team. It's where when you do not win the 1-4 between the two lanes your opponents are definitely going to win, then rotate to the other one and try and make something happen there. You saw them try and take advantage with the tri-lane in the bottom half of the map, draw aggro. They just overextended a little bit too much, and Blaze to capitalizing wherever they can. Again, a little bit like the last game, showing a pretty good early lead. More importantly, they already have 28 of their gems turned in here, Jake.
Yeah, that is a big deal. More than halfway towards their first Web Weaver, controlling the first kill of the game, and of course now having just great map presence in general. Cloud9 is going to be looking for a gank if at all possible. You see this 4-man squad just kind of roaming around trying to find anyone, but Battery is not an easy target.
Yeah, and both of these teams here, man, just kind of going blow for blow, head-to-head here. On the bottom half of the map, it's pretty dead even here when it comes to the solo lanes. I wonder if the block is going to be more beneficial in that solo lane than Warpaint would be for getting that heal. Really good W coming out from DXN to get the delay. They're just going to make sure their opponents can't turn in as best they can, but whoever capitalizes on this first turn-in, I think if Blaze confirms a turn-in but doesn't make too much happen, I'm really afraid, because you know that counter turn-in on the side of Cloud9 with that Sylvanas is going to be beyond just effective.
That is true. That is true. Sylvanas does give you that huge threat when it comes to pushing. There is that 51 gems now in the pocket of Cloud9, but it's going to be very, very contested at the turn-ins. We see Thrall actually gets some of his gems in, up to 42 here on the side of Team Blaze, so this is desperate for Cloud9 to try to find that window, especially with level 7 on the horizon.
Yu's about to get it. The dog is going to bite him out. Good job from Dunk Train. He's not actually going to have a dash quite yet. Now he will. He will barely be able to survive this situation. Really well done on the side of Yu's. They're going to get a turn-in, though, because that harassment. Look at Cloud9. They're going to get the turn-in on the bottom half.
Yeah, that's a lot of the nice blind there. The flashlight of Battery just shining it into their eyes, making them blink and stop the channel. We do see a nice body block from K1 Pro there, denying the Wolf from connecting onto one of the two trying to turn in. But only 23 in total have been able to be put into the bank of Cloud9.
Yeah, and again, that snowball that's going to come out of their composition, especially post 7. Battery trying to get it. All these teams getting very, very desperate. I think that Blaze needs to kind of get the composure. They were very much winning those turn-ins with what they were doing before. Now a little bit over-panicked here. I feel like they're articulating that they're trying to turn in a little bit too much to where Cloud9 is very easily getting these delays. Keep up your rotations. You have the better wave clear than Cloud9.
All right, Cleanse was picked up. Claudius is going to end up falling this time to the first kill of the game on the side of Cloud9, and this could be their window of opportunity to try to find the turn-in. Only 4 are needed, so they need the presence in top. We actually do see Murden, King Caffeine, being chased away from that top shrine. A 3v1, he's managing to just hold on.
That was a huge tempo.
We do see they do get the full turn-in.
That was colossal. So now it's post 7. You see Unstable Poison going to be picked up by Arthlon there on the side of Cloud9. They have the turn-in. They're going to be able to get the waves pushing against them. You already see on the bottom half, he's got a lot of pressure down there. And now they're going to be able to make their Web Weavers very, very, very strong here. Also, unique talent being picked up here on the side of Jaina, actually. He's going to be going with Frost Armor. Not something that we never see. Just usually you see only like versus kind of like Zeratul. So it's going to be the response maybe to that Thrall there this game. But really well done. So let's see how well Arthlon on that Sylvanas can really capitalize here.
Okay, well, you do see the big push here with Rhaegar, King Caffeine, Arth, and K1 Pro. The lockdown of the structures has kept this Web Weaver incredibly healthy. And this is going to actually allow them to rotate. Now that the towers have been taken out, they know the threat still exists on the fort, but they just want to make sure they maximize as many lanes as they can.
And you see that disable coming out from the dagger on Sylvanas, just spreading everywhere and making nothing be able to shoot and get rid of that. But you see the heavy rotation from Blaze. They're going to be looking to try and get a skirmish. Arthlon a little bit out of position, but he is going to pop the E, be able to walk out of their battery now, maybe overextended.
Oh, yeah, he is going down. A nice rotation onto Johanna, locking her down. And Yuge, does he have the Radiant Dash? Yes, using it just in time. Dunktrain Feral lunging in, the Dwarf toss forward, and huge damage onto Rafflecopter, but the barrel roll will get him out, and everyone on Blaze does manage to survive except for that Johanna.
Now it's a half-level lead. Front wall going to be getting pressured on the upper half of the map as well on the side of Cloud9. They also have 37 gems. You see he's going to coin dump a little bit there. 18 going to be turned in, but Blaze is so close to a turn-in, so Blaze can't turn in right now. I know that seems weird because you're like, oh, they're so close, they're 4. They can't. If they turn in and their opponents are 10, they're not going to be able to push at all. They have to wait until they hit the 10-tier advantage, right?
That's something we see so often in lower-level teams thinking that it's the right decision to turn in. Then they basically dumped 50 gems to do nothing.
And it's just going to be cleared out, and you're like, well, they're top. And you're like, well, what am I going to do because I can't go top?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a crazy dynamic and a bit of a learning curve here for this map.
Absolutely, and now it's a situation to where we're going to see C9 is going to be forcing the turn as fast as they can. Guess what? They're 4 away. They're about to double stack the turn, and you want to know why? That XP advantage. Sylvanas snowballing that first turn, and that's what we were talking about here. Blaze now trying to find an answer. They are close enough that if they turn in now, they're going to be okay, but if they get caught anywhere, it's 10 versus 9. K1 Pro burning the ult on the upper half of the map, actually. Skirmish going to come out, but nothing of it.
Yeah, K1 Pro actually took a lot of damage of just kind of using that to make sure he could back away safely with the zoning. So the water alley controlling that space, denying the turn-in. And there's gems that you talked about, just the one more needed. They have 3 in their pockets. One hero just needs to dump that 1 gem.
Cloud9's going to really do a good job of delaying here. Keep in mind, they're going to risk 30 gems if they lose this fight.
7-sided strike goes out. iDream is very low with the Ancestral Heal, clutching it out. The Ancient Spear back in onto Battery. Battery needs the heals. The shields have been popped, but Raffle way out of position, and King Caffeine is just awaiting his approach. Yuge has no target. No, he does find one down below, but the Stormpult will secure his death, but Claudius manages to pick off Dunk Train on Rhaegar. Gonna end up being a 3-for-1 for Cloud9, but the Web Weavers are here for them as well.
Yeah, they have to, not only did they get that, they just watch. If this kill goes down, that's gonna be... Wait. 42 gems were just lost on the side of
Feels bad, man.
That next turn-in is now essentially a mile away from them. Not only did they not get the turn-in here, they have Sylvanas pushing against them, but now they only have roughly 12 gems, 13 gems to their name. They have no counter turn-in anymore. This is a very, very bad situation to be in if you're in the side of Team Blaze. Their only response here is they're going to be to be able to take a team fight on Cloud9 when they're sitting at a 13 tier to 15 tier, and that's very, very risky.
Okay, well, we do see the first Web Weaver does get cleaned up in mid. The top one is very low, but King Caffeine trying to push it then through these towers to the best of his ability by himself, but the bottom lane, that is completely pushed in by this Web Weaver already due to that 4th that got taken out earlier and the power of Sylvanas.
Absolutely, and Cloud9 rotating to the upper half of the map, going to take the 4 for free.
Oh,
but
they're
he's
going
very out of position there. They don't totally confirm. Look at that. Water Element until actually sitting in the corner against Claudius, using it as a ward almost to try and make sure that his opponents can't get a good flank. Good job from K1 Pro. They're really heads-up play. The counter turn-in, I forgot, actually, we do see Blaze had 46 turn-in. They don't need all the gems. I forgot. They were so close to a turn-in, they didn't need that many, but they did lose. Keep in mind, they're still 40 away, so the double turn-in. They will have a response turn-in, but not 2 in a row, which they would have had in that situation. Now worried about the boss, they're actually checking on the upper half of the map. Meanwhile, C9's coin dumping.
They're controlling space. They're making sure they can get eyes on this. Duncan can drop the totem,
Goaltender.
throw the lightning shield on it if he needs to. Mighty Gust was cast during that just to disengage, to try to get a turn in, but unsuccessful in doing so. So it's 40 seconds where Falsa doesn't have that big power for this fight.
Absolutely, and now 13 tier advantage is going to be picked up on the side of Cloud9, and it's going to be really hard to see whether or not Blaze is going to be able to get that back up here again. Sylvanas is going to be applying pressure everywhere on the map. What Blaze really needs to do is just overcommit to a turn-in altogether while they think C9's on the other side of the map. They're going to notice they're going to send Muradin and Rhaegar. They're goaltending the entire game. Right now you see Dunk on bottom, Muradin's on top. They're going to do this all game. They're going to do this legitimately the entire game. They are the goaltenders. Dunk Train's like, go, don't worry, boys. You're going to throw it up in the bottom lane. I'm just going to swat it. Boom. It's just not in my house is what Dunk Train says there. And then Muradin's going to be doing the same thing on the upper half of the map. And they're going to be goaltending as long as they put... Look at, they're going to turn in on bottom. Nope, Dunk Train says, not in my house, boys.
I wish I knew anything about sports ball because I would name them after professional goaltenders. I guess that's a role.
Yeah, I would too, but they let Claudius get it in. He stealthed it in.
Worst goaltenders and a confirmed Johanna will go down, though, and the Gus has to be used to save Yuge. Do they get that first channel? No, Sonya interrupted that. The goaltender, he dove in.
He canceled it. He canceled it, actually. It wasn't even denied there. Claudius now getting caught out of position.
Oh, no, the Sundering gets interrupted by King Caffeine's Stormbolt, and wow, Thrall just gets chunked apart. The Water Elemental going in with a single slow onto Raffle. Not enough lockdown, but with these bruisers, the keep towers are going to fall in mid.
Yeah, and this is that situation. In 15 seconds, it's pretty much the only team fight they're going to have an even footing, and even then it's going to be very hard for Team Blaze to make a win. That's what I was talking about. 13 into 15 tier. Without having Thrall up, though, I don't even know if they're going to get the opportunity. C9 looking to back out here. They're going to get the turn in. Now notice, if Blaze tries to force this fight, Cloud9 most likely is just going to walk away. They aren't even going to delay.
That's a team huddle. That's some good effort. They're doing some oranges right now, getting ready for the halftime.
Train.
Oh, the big burst going down, and Rhaegar is down and out, but we do see King Caffeine getting caught out of position. Has to pop the Avatar, trying to sustain through this. Without the heals, he cannot do so. The Sundering just clipping him with the end of its hitbox and does take him out. So a 2-for-0. That's a big deal here for Blaze, but they have to defend the Web Weavers.
Big deal is an understatement. This game would have been insane if they had 16 tier Sylvanas, a huge 2-level lead over their opponents. Like that would have this turn-in would have been 2 keeps minimum. That kill right there, the overconfidence coming up from Cloud9 and then being able to capitalize and get 2 picks now makes that turn-in essentially useless, catches them up at least a level in XP, and now they're going to be able to match their opponents when it comes to the next turn-in on an even footing. That seemed like a small play. That was huge. That was the only way that they can come back in this game on the side of Blaze. But now in the mid lane,
Rafflecopter gets caught out of position. A huge Ancient Spear secures that kill, and Cloud9 trying to turn things around their favor. A big 7-sided strike doing a lot of damage. Dunk Train still not in the action, and it looks like iDream will end up falling, dropping a good bit of gems. You see Dunk is here. Ice Block was cast from Jaina in the re-engage forge. Huge damage coming out from that Blizzard, and Battery will also get picked off, and the Web Weaver still standing strong in the bottom lane.
Absolutely. It is going to be sitting at that half health. It will take out that front wall for free here. Now, we do see there is going to be roughly about 10-second advantage here in a couple of seconds where the C9 is going to have a man up here and try and be able to apply pressure. There we go. They're going to move in. Sylvanas, look at that, making the keep look like easy work here. And this will be, there's the gust. Please don't, it's going to be too late. That's going to go down. So that's cooldown down. It is really short, though, but essentially no opportunity to make anything happen out of it here. Cloud9 is going to be sitting halfway through to their opportunity to turn in. We have still yet to see Team Blaze get 1 turn in.
Yeah, they've been sitting at 46 for upwards of 5 minutes at least at this point. And iDream is now back in action. 16 is desperately needed for Team Blaze, but how do they crawl back into this? They just need to make a bold attempt to invade and force a fight once they have 16, or
Get
what?
16 tier and force a fight over the turn-in.
Okay.
Is the only answer. Other than that, honestly, personally, I would like to see them try and take... no, their team fight works really well in chokeholds. As long as they don't get flaked by K1, they should be okay. But honestly, think about it. How many team fights has like C9 had to take this game? I mean, essentially, it's been 0, at least on an even footing, and that's what they really need out of them. They are winning the race to the turn-in. They don't need to panic at all. If they take a fight before they hit the 16 tier, like if a pick happens right now, it's worst-case scenario. Honestly, they can use the Fog of War to abuse the little channels you see on the lower half of the map to possibly sneak a turn-in there, but they can't just half-commit to things the way that they have. You see them now, C9 posturing because of the 3-man overcommitment to the bottom half of the map. They're going to take a boss. Huge positional rotational misplay on the side of Blaze.
Yeah, as soon as they caught wind on that mini-map, they just start focusing Battery over the wall with the blind just to get some eyes on to confirm that they are indeed there. But too little, too late. The Sundering has been cast. They're stepping on the point, but this seems risky. They don't have the heals. iDream gets the big Ancestral top them off, but somehow they managed to blow up Johanna. Excuse me, that was indeed on the side of Team Blaze, and they're just kidding. Picked apart, trading out with Dunk Train. A 2-for-1 so far in favor of, oh, and they steal the boss. That is huge here.
It is, but honestly, I don't know if it's going to be enough. That's a 5-man wipe. That's going to be GG. So, like, yes, you did steal the boss, but it's, like, legitimately, like, what did you gain, right? It's kind of the same situation.
They're going for core.
Yeah, no, it's going to be 20 seconds here is going to be left between these two players. They're going to try and disable right here. Yeah, they're going to move on through as a team. Keep in mind, K1 Pro is going to be taking... No, they're going to make sure King Caffeine tanks. Okay, iDream taking side damage, though, so he's going to be okay as long as they don't get the splash here. Jojo's going to have in. I don't think they have the time. There's way too much damage on the side of Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, Dream is slowly healing up.
Gus is up in 14, so yeah, the blind's not going to be able to be enough. They have 8 seconds left here. That's going to be it, Jake.
That will be it. Cloud9 will advance over Team Blaze in a decisive game number 3, the throw pit. It almost panned out. They managed to get out Dunk Train. They managed to steal the boss, but...
Almost. I mean, it was a little bit of a slow rotation just on the side of Blaze. They kind of sniffed it out for a second there, but it took Falstad a large amount of time to be able to rotate Johanna. They burned the Sunder just to get Johanna in position to attempt to be able to delay the cap of it. And it's just one of those situations where, yes, that boss would have been really hard to deal with, but if they had just turned in on the bottom half of the map and then just cleared out the boss, they wouldn't have lost the game and they would have had a chance to make something happen.
It's true. Well, congratulations to Cloud9 advancing on forward to playoffs. I believe this is the winner's match, so Team Blaze is still in it.
No, it is. Blaze still has an opportunity here, and that is a huge Ancestral there at that time. Nobody else able to confirm that kill here between these two. Gus coming out, but at that point, again, facing that Jaina Sonya so difficult there, and you see the sportsmanship here between these two teams, Jake, is just awesome.
Yeah, really shaking hands, respecting their opponents. Blaze with beautiful, showing here. Playing with a sub, DXN replacing Jason, but we can actually get back some of these replays. You see Hughes, Radiant Dashing trying to slip away. They managed to burn down Dunk Train, but in the end, Cloud9 with that experience lead, the constant talent advantage, finding picks left and right, and really controlling the turning point throughout the entire game. they didn't turn in a single web weaver. They had 46 gems total.
I mean, that's just what happens when you put you put King Caffeine and Dunk Train on that goaltending opportunities, man. They just sat there. They almost half the game, if you watch what they did there, they were just legitimately standing at it, waiting for them to show up. And the minute they did, they just did not.
If Dunk Train was playing soccer, would he use his beard to block the soccer ball?
I mean, probably.
Yeah, that's manly.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we are ready to roll with an interview with the one and only King Caffeine, and I can't wait.
That was a crazy match. So fun to watch this early in the morning. You guys came in very, very confident, and then that second match looked a little bit less confident. Tell us about how you were feeling there.
Yeah, we tried to run a similar strat that we ran the first game, and they actually had a prepared counter with our Tannis, which surprised us because it does counter our comp, but you know, no one really runs that. We knew they've done it before, but we really didn't expect it, so it caught us off guard.
I was hearing Team Blaze say, you know what, they don't care what we play, they just want their comfort picks. We've got to deny their comfort picks. But then I heard you guys saying, we have so many options, it doesn't even matter what they pick, which is true.
Yeah, well, right now the meta is really diversified, so we really don't think we can get banned out of heroes.
Well, that sounds reasonable to me. Casters, do you agree? Do you have any questions for King Caffeine?
Well, I was just really surprised to see you playing Thrall in general. Like, is this a new thing? You guys are trying to abandon the warrior role? Are you cheating on everyone?
I mean, I guess we'll see.
No secrets revealed.
Keeping a low profile there.
What about you, Dredd? Anything to follow up there?
I mean, not really. I feel like the last game, I really liked you guys' composition and expected it. Why did you decide to go with Emerald Wind over Blink Hill in the second game?
In the second game, we realized that we were only going to be able to win if we could really split the fight and keep Illidan on a target. And it all came down to the 16-17 fight around the top vision.
Yeah.
And basically, we just flubbed a bunch of ults there. All of our ults were ineffective. Like,
yeah.
I think 4 in a row just got flubbed, and that was game. So.
Yeah.
You guys now move on to the round of 4. So you guys are set. You don't have to play too many matches. You get to watch who your next opponents are going to be. Do you think Team Blaze has a chance to bring it back? They're not eliminated yet. They're just going to go to the lower bracket.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, they already showed a really great showing, so I'm sure that, I mean, they still definitely have a chance. We might see them in the finals.
All right, well, rest up. Congratulations again. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, we have tons more heroes to come today, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back.